Hello everyone and welcome back to the Game Panda. Today we are playing some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, and today we have a bit of a different episode. I'm not going to be showing you guys a brand new deck. We're not really going to be playing any PvP in this video either. This is mainly a video to show you guys the top 10 non-meta decks that work and are free to play. Now I know there are many people out there who play Duel Links that are free to play, so these decks being free to play are really important, and the fact that they're non-meta, so that means not that many people are going to be playing these decks. Some of them are fairly popular, but they're not as popular as a meta deck would be. So what I'm classifying as a meta deck is something that's very popular and you're always going to see. So like, despite Blue Eyes and Dark Magician not really being considered meta right now. Right now, the current meta is Odd Eyes, Pendulum, Orchest Engines, and all sorts of things like that. So you're not going to be seeing too many Blue Eyes and Dark Magicians, but at some point, those two were massive in the meta. So you're not going to be seeing Blue Eyes or Dark Magician on this list at all. These are going to be decks that have never been the meta, or have not been the meta to my knowledge, but are all 100% free to play, because I am a free to play player and I built these decks. And when I say these specific decks, I don't mean the decks that I built and I'm about to show you guys. I'm basically going to be showing you guys a shell kind of what the decks should look like and what they can look like and all sorts of things. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But starting off with number 10, we have Ancient Gear Golem. Now this deck is my preferred Ancient Gear Golem deck. I don't have it completely built because I'm preparing for some other stuff with this deck and many of the decks that are on this list. I'm rebuilding a lot of my decks so that way they're more competitive based, they're ready for PvP. And with all the new structure decks and boxes that have come out, there's some better cards, better support for all the decks. So starting off with Ancient Gear. Now Ancient Gear is fantastic. I love Ancient Gear. You get out some really strong monsters fairly easily, and then on top of that you can have fusion monsters that are even better, right? So here you can see Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem. 4,400 attack points. That's incredible. There's going to be some people who just place face down monsters to stop losing life points against your really strong monsters. Does not matter. You're going to deal piercing damage. And then on top of that, you're not going to be affected by spell and trap cards during the damage step. So if they got a Book of Moon during the damage step, not going to happen. I don't know why they would Book of Moon during the damage step, but maybe they do. Who knows? Maybe they have a Wall of Disruption or something like that. That's not going to affect you. And then on top of that, if somehow this monster is destroyed, let's say by a lightning vortex or something like that, you go ahead and get to summon an Ancient Gear Golem right off the bat, which basically has the exact same effects as Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem, just less attack points, which I mean is a win-win. It's a win-win. Your ace monster brings out your secondary ace. It's all fantastic. Now, I'm not going to go over exactly what's in this deck because, you know, that's what the Ancient Gear Golem videos are for. So I'm going to leave a link in the description to all the decks that I've made videos about. So like this one, I've made a previous video about. However, it's not this version of the deck. It's a previous version. Still works. And I know that this deck is also going to work because of that. And I'm just making it better. I'm not making it worse or anything. The synergy and stuff is still there. All basically the same shell. I'm just adding some more support to it. Coming in at number 9, we have Fortune Lady. Fortune Lady, I absolutely loved. I was playing this for PvP for a good month. It was very fun. It was a good deck to play. I do wish we could get a second copy of Vision or Bending Destinies, because that's a great counter trap and a great spell card to just have, so that way you can go ahead and bring another spell card onto the field. But once again, I said these are free to play decks, so therefore, you know, you get one copy unless you're willing to use a dream ticket on these, which I don't recommend at all. If you're using dream tickets on a Fortune Vision, you better have like all the staples. You better have like almost every single card in the game to be using dream tickets on this deck. But despite that, this deck works fantastic. You go ahead and activate a Fortune Lady Calling. You can bring out maybe an Earth. Maybe you need the pass and you have Earth and something out there already. And then their effect of just continuously gaining levels at each standby phase is fantastic, because that lets you have a number of possibilities to get Fortune Lady Every out there, your ace card in this case. So you're going to gain 400 times your level, so you're already starting off at a level 7, plus an extra 400 each turn because you're gaining 1 level during your standby phase. And then whenever you increase your level, you then get to banish a face-up monster. So if your opponent has a really cool card out there, let's say, I don't know, let's go with one of the new meta card decks. You got a Odd Eyes Raging Pendulum Dragon out there. Okay, let's say that. Odd Eyes Raging Pendulum, very strong card. You're not going to be able to beat it with Fortune Lady Every just by pure attack. You go ahead and level up once. You can go ahead and banish that thing, get that out of the field. And then, just in case if they do end up being able to destroy this, you can go ahead and banish one spellcaster, which all of these are spellcasters. So you banish another Fortune Lady, you get to bring this thing back out. Unfortunately, you don't get to keep your levels, you're going to have to start off fresh. But I mean, you get to do that at the end of your opponent's end turn, so then it will be your standby phase, so then you can go ahead and level up, banish, it's great, it's fantastic. And then, all these Fortune Ladies, they have very nice effects as well. Coming in at number 8, we have Deskbots. Deskbots were fantastic for me. I was using it during the Yugo event, and for some odd reason, the Yugo event AI was crazy good. It was playing the deck at like a high level, so many people were having troubles with it, and Deskbot was one of the decks that I found really helped me out. I never lost a duel with Deskbot. I think I only lost one in total, but that wasn't with a Deskbot deck. That was by mistake. I used my level up deck and I lost, but Deskbot has never let me down in that Yugo event. And even when we played PvP, it performed pretty well. We did win, of course, and of course it's free to play, so you got all these Deskbots, they work great together. You have your Pendulum monsters, so you can go ahead and crazy summon these things. Drop 3 of them in there. You can Deskbot 9 being probably your strongest one out there, because he can take all the attack points of all your monsters, combine them to his own, and then he gets to attack, and he's not affected by spell and trap cards or monster effects, so that's pretty good. Deskbot 3, fantastic for storming the field, especially if you don't have the pendulum cards in your first hand. You can go ahead and summon him, then summon another monster, and then you can add attack points to that card. Deskbot 1, fantastic, is your tuner monster. It's only level 1, but you gain 500 for each machine type monster you control, and all of these of course are machine type. You have your Deskbot Synchro monster, not the best. I mean, it's an average Synchro monster. I don't find myself summoning it that often, but it's there if you need it. And then a bunch of Xyz monsters that I find fairly useful for this deck as well. Of course, you do want to have that Pendulum zones, otherwise, there's no point in having Pendulum cards. But like I said, Deskbot does not seem like a very good deck, but you can get tons of attack points on a single monster. I think I had 9,000 on one at one point.
It's over 9,000!
And you can just go crazy. You can get all kinds of numbers with this stuff. It's just a fun deck to play in general. Coming in at number 7, we have Gravekeeper. Now, Gravekeeper is a deck that I'm also changing a little bit as well, but the deck that we had before, that was a fantastic deck. I think I got to Legend 2, I want to say. I think I got to Legend 2. Not 100% on that one, but I was very close to getting Cog, and it was such a good deck. I loved the deck. And then I realized, they added a lot more Gravekeeper cards, so we're going to go ahead and start adding that stuff together. Of course, your main ace being Gravekeeper Supernaturalist. It's a fantastic card. You're not only having that base 2,000 attack points, you're also gaining attack points for the levels of the original monsters used, because you can use any 2 Gravekeeper monsters. Of course, the one downside is that you basically need to have Necro Valley on the field for the deck to work, but I mean, it's fairly easy to get Necro Valley, especially if you're running 3 copies, and then you have monsters that will allow you to search for Necro Valley, spell and trap cards, very good. And then of course, the best monster in the deck being Gravekeeper Spiritualist, because this is what allows you to fusion summon your ace monster. So Spiritualist, very important to the deck as well. You're not going to be able to get super high numbers with this like Deskbot, but I mean, your ace monster, Supernaturalist, cannot be destroyed by card effects whenever you have Necro Valley on the field, of course. And then on top of that, you can go ahead and search for another Necro Valley if you need to. So let's say you don't have Necro Valley on the field, you have this monster out there somehow. Let's say Necro Valley got destroyed. You can go ahead and search for another Necro Valley, add it straight to your hand, and then go ahead, and play it your next turn. It's fantastic. It works as a great search for Necro Valley, although you do need Necro Valley to have it out there to begin with, because Spiritualist is your only way of fusion summoning. But it's a great card overall. It's a great search effect. So if you need something else, so let's say you want to get another Spiritualist, you know, it works for searching as well. Coming in at number 6, we have Mermail. Mermail, when I first showed you guys this deck, I called it the most underrated deck in Duel Links at the time, of course. And honestly, I kind of still stick to that. Mermail is an incredible deck. You get to storm the field because every single card has a special summon effect. You get to special summon, special summon, special summon, and then you have boosting cards with your equip spells and your trap cards and all this. And then they gave it a new Xyz monster, so you know, of course I gotta check that out. They also added some other cards that I didn't have before, or I just didn't have them in general, and I really want to try them out, see how they work with the deck. And I feel like Mermail can still be an incredible deck in the current meta. I know we're gonna get absolutely wrecked as soon as I start playing Mermail, but I feel like on paper this is an incredible deck and should do well in this new form. But even if you don't have these cards and you just use the old cards that I had in my old deck, or if you just have a stripped down version of that, I think that you can still do really well with Mermail / Abyss, because these are all Mermail / Abyss cards. Coming in at number 5, we have Butterfly. Now, we are now in the top 5. These are decks that I have been using fairly recently, and I have used in PvP and the World Championship KC thingamajiggy that's going on as of the time I'm recording. So, first, like I said, number 5, Butterfly. Butterfly is fantastic. The whole point of this deck is flipping your opponent's position and then taking advantage of their high attack or high defense points, so that way you can go ahead and switch them to their lowest version, attack, get rid of their stronger monsters. Then on top of that, you have your Xyz monsters, which take advantage of this by making them lose 600 attack points. Then you have a wiping the field with Queen Alexandria. So let's say your opponent has some crazy card, there's no possible way that you're going to be able to get rid of it. Go ahead and activate Alexandria Queen's effect. You go ahead and get a clean slate. You're going to take some damage because of its effect, but they're also going to take some damage, and on top of that, you just wiped the field. It's basically a Black Rose Dragon. And then on top of that, I added this new Butterfly Xyz monster. It does require 3, but it's your big powerhouse. You're going to get 2,600 attack points plus 300 attack for each material attached to it. So you activate it once, you're going to have 2. You're going to have 2 materials, so then you're going to get 600. Then you're going to have 1 material the next time you activate it, so then you're going to add another 300. So you can get 900 on top of this. You're going to end up with 3,500 for a Night Papley Operative Xyz monster. In my opinion, that's pretty good. And then of course you do have special summoning effects with Blue Mountain Butterspy and Moonlit Papillon. Then you have the effects of Butterspy, of Morpho and Swallowtail, which are fantastic. You have some more trap cards that work well. It's just overall a really good deck. You get to disturb your opponent the entire time, constantly flipping their monsters from attack to defense. They don't really have a chance to attack you either, especially if you have multiple of Butterfly Yolks out there, and that can just make your opponents rage quit straight off the bat. You guys have no idea how many times I've played this outside of a video, and I've had people just rage quit because they were annoyed that they couldn't get a single attack off. It's just beautiful. Coming in at number 4, you guys know I had to do this. I have to put my boy Exodia up there. Exodia honestly has fallen off. If you guys do remember the top 10 decks that I made last time, that's a while ago, Exodia was number 1. And back then, there was nothing that could stop Exodia except for like one of those blue eyes cards that everyone had. And honestly, there were still ways to get around that. But recently, with the more important staple cards coming out, Exodia has kind of fallen off. And honestly, I haven't played it as much, so I don't really know how it works currently. But I still have to owe my respects to Exodia. The only downside is that you're going to have 26 cards by the end of this. So you already have 21 in the deck, and then you're going to have to add 5 more for Exodia, so you have 26 cards. So then getting a certain card that you need is kind of difficult. I mean, there are times where you're like, okay, I just need 1 Sanguine and I have the head of Exodia and I win the game, and then you end up getting like a counter gate and you can't actually do anything with it. There are times where that happens, and that's honestly the biggest concern with this, the deck size. But otherwise, I can't really say anything bad about Exodia. It's a fantastic deck. It's more of a cheese deck more than anything. And I personally just love this deck so much. Coming in at number 3, you guys are going to tell me that this is a meta deck being Harpy ladies. But like I said earlier, even when Harpy was considered tier 0, you didn't see Harpy every other duel. Like right now, you go into the World Championship and you're just seeing constant Orcust and Odd Eyes. Like I literally played 5 duels today. 3 of them were Orcust, 1 of them was Odd Eyes, and then there was some random dude playing Infernoid, but you know, sometimes it do be like that. But Harpy is a fantastic deck, just constantly getting rid of back row, and then with Cyber / Harpy's effect, you can get rid of 1 monster on the field, so it's great for getting rid of strong monsters. Back row is not an issue unless they have quick play cards like Book of Moon, Cyclone, MST, stuff like that. And then there's tons of searching availability with Hysteric Sign, with Harpist, Channeler, Oracle. There's so many searching capabilities with this deck, so you're never not going to have the card that you need, except for in your opening hand, in which case, you know, that can be a little iffy. And then of course you're going to want Harpy's Hunting Ground, so if you're not playing the ability, go ahead and have 2 copies of this, I guess, because Harpy's Hunting Ground is insane, and that's the whole reason why you can get rid of back row of your opponents, and it's just fantastic. Of course, if you're going first, that is the big downside, because you're going to have Harpy's Hunting Ground out on the field, and then you're going to have to summon something, and you don't really want to get rid of your own cards, unless you have Oracle out there, in which case you can get him back, but like, it's just a big hassle. So going first is the biggest issue with this deck. Coming in at number 2, it's a brand new deck that I've recently shown you guys. We got Cyber Angel. Now the number 1 and number 2 slots are the ones that I've been using in the World Championship thing. So Cyber Angel is fantastic. I absolutely love it, especially with Vrash's effect. Getting rid of special summoned cards from the extra deck are fantastic, especially against Pendulum, especially against Odd Eyes decks, because they're constantly special summoning from their extra deck. All the Pendulum monsters that sit on top of their extra deck, Odd Eyes Raging, all of that stuff. Fantastic against that, because they're not only going to have those monsters destroyed, but they also take 500 effect damage because of that. And then Vrash gets a second attack. So that is just, Vrash is just incredible against Odd Eyes. It's a great deck, especially if you get Ida 10 as a tribute. You get to have an extra 1,000 attack points. And there are many times I've just won on turn 2 with Cyber Angel because they try and go crazy with their extra deck. And then of course, you know, being able to have 2 different types of Machine Angel rituals is also pretty good. Being able to ritual summon from your graveyard, very handy. And then you're never not gonna have a ritual monster or a ritual spell card in your hand because of Manju, Jin, and Cyber Petite Angel. They're just fantastic in searching, along with Ben 10. It's just an overall great deck, being able to get rid of back row, getting rid of monsters, and then dealing effect damage and attacking twice. It's just great overall, and has helped me get as far as I have in the World Championship thing. To be fair, I haven't played that much in the World Championship, but I mean, it is what it is. Coming in at number 1, we have Galaxy Eyes. Galaxy Eyes was my number 2 on the top 10 deck video a long time ago, and people don't expect you to play Galaxy Eyes anymore. People just don't expect it. They have, back when Galaxy Eyes was really popular, there were of course hard counters and such like that. Just like how Evil Swarm is starting to gain traction because of the current meta, Galaxy Eyes has fallen out of that because it's no longer the new deck, you know. As soon as the new character comes out, it's going to be somewhat meta relevant, like Speedroid right now, because Yugo just came out, so Speedroid is going to be somewhat meta relevant. Same thing when Yudo came out, Phantom Knights were popular, but this deck is just something else. Like, you're constantly special summoning monsters. Like, there are turns where you'll get Crusher, Thrasher, Advancer, and Vanisher in your hand, which is a fantastic hand. Most people don't want to see 4 monsters first turn. I welcome it, alright? You special summon Thrasher. Then you summon Crusher. Then you summon Advancer. Then you Xyz summon Starliege. Then you bring in a Galaxy Eyes. Then you special summon your Vanisher, because you have your Advancer out there. You get another Galaxy Eyes in your hand. And then, hopefully, you draw a Galaxy Eyes and a Polymerization, and if you want to, you can even special summon the Galaxy Eyes that you got because of Vanisher, using Vanisher and Advancer. Then you have 2 Galaxy Eyes out there and a Starliege out there on your first turn. That is a fantastic starting hand. And if you get Polymerization and another Galaxy Eyes, you got 3 Galaxy Eyes in Star Leash. I've done that so many times in duels. It's a fantastic method. Twin Photon Dragon is great. Being able to summon 2 Galaxy Eyes from your hand without having to tribute anything, it's just a great deck. This deck works fantastic for getting out Galaxy Eyes. Of course, this one doesn't have any of the Xyz monsters, while this one does. This one is probably my ideal Galaxy Eyes deck. It's got all this fancy Galaxy Eyes Xyz monsters, all the fancy ultra rare, super rare. This deck is literally all ultra rares and super rares except for Galaxy Knight being a rare. But this deck is going to take me forever to build. But even this deck right here, the one that I'm currently using, is not like the best Galaxy Eyes deck, obviously, because I'm look at this. I'm using Photon Pirate and Photon Chargeman. Like, those aren't crazy good cards. I'm even using Paladin. I'm even using Paladin of Photon Dragon to get out Galaxy Eyes. But it all works. That's all that matters, that it's free to play and that it works. This deck is fantastic. You can get out Galaxy Eyes first turn guaranteed. Unless you get, you know, an awful starting hand with like a Pirate and 3 spell cards or 4 spell cards. That's probably like an awful hand, and that can happen. I've had that happen before. But that's just because of how many times I've played this deck. And even then, you're not going to lose your first turn most likely. Like, the chances of you losing on turn 2 or turn 3 are just so low. Like, it's just not going to happen like that. Even if you're playing like a super meta deck, the chances of that happening are very low. You're always going to be left over with like at least 500 life points. So there's always a chance that you're going to be able to get out of Galaxy Eyes. Of course, in that point, you're going to have to get lucky. But, you know, that's with every deck. There's always a chance to brick. There's always a chance to not be able to get out your ace first turn. There's always that kind of stuff. But this deck, super powerful. There's basically no defense in this deck. It's all attack, 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 because you're just getting out Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. And then Galaxy Eyes can basically never be destroyed unless there's an effect. But like by battle, you just banish it and then it comes back. It's always around. It's great for Time Lord. When Time Lord came around for the first time and people started playing Time Lord a lot, Galaxy Eyes was fantastic for that. You get out your Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, you attack, but you banish, so they don't even get to activate their effect. You get their Time Lord out of the way, and then you can attack directly. And then when it comes back, they automatically have to send that Time Lord to their deck, and they don't really get to use their Time Lord deck. It stalls the Time Lord. It's fantastic. But like I said, guys, this deck is just great. Constant special summoning, constant getting out your ace. It's just a great deck overall, and that's why I gave it the #1 spot. But with all that being said, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, and let me know down in the comments below if you guys like these tier list deck videos. What decks do you guys put on your top 10 not meta decks that work for free to play players? Let me know that down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.